So we're in Revelation chapter 17 this morning. And please, if you have if there's something that you have a question about, ask the question. I'd like to answer it as we go. And I'll also try to remember to leave some time at the end for questions. We were talking last week about the harlot. She's called the harlot of Babylon. I'm going to try to remember to show you a little picture of what one artist has painted that this might have looked like. His idea of what the harlot looked like. But this morning we're going to talk about what we had started to discuss last week, and that is that governments and kings have merged with, down through history, they have merged with false religion. Satan has tried any way he can to change things on earth to oppose God. Now, one thing is false religion. Which the woman represents. And the other thing is kings, or should we say governments. I want to talk about this morning how that governments, kings, down through history have opposed God. Satan has influenced them to oppose God. We don't normally think about kings, presidents, nations, governments opposing God. But look at what the psalmist has written in Psalm 2. And I'd like you to play a verse here. Could you play Psalm 2, verse 1 and 2?
He ku job sa de he de rita ria one anede akus ha jomaria de ju prena kui de jomaria no tialu preper de rita de he oku okya rolu de ak ha ro ge de na he ku job sa
파브데 고야 바포해 도 아테나 라크라도나 이에드
And here it says, why do the nations rage?
니데면 오페니 호나 마메테 아히나다 타케데케 시네마 사나 테시 플롯 두미테
And then the verse 2 says that the kings of the earth have gotten together to oppose God.
tobadan ma bapungi na ma ahinada kridusi te hesi takula dusi te hesi na ma esi he o shulu mite na ma esi me si mi pialo metatupe ma chomre te pidmigo.
As a matter of fact, it says they want to oppose God, they want to oppose the Messiah, Yeshua.
Ne dabanu pini ho na ma hina esi metatu mi piano ma shushu chomre te pidme ite tali ate talatangu mo ko he esi na ma asime me tatu pobe to chana ma pe Messiah arikyako.
The idea is that God is the creator, and they do not want to be submitted to him.
Mite na da pesingi ko ha da chomre na da a prebelo plita tesi hiku trida pe hiku fusi te hino ko he mana da hiku fusi te hino ma esi no asi lekha to ko asana si chu to ma ma pe chomre na ma esi da chomre du le pre na si chu to.
Now would you play verse 3 of that psalm?
Na be mani da ma fusio.
Kya rolu de akus ha ro ge de na he ku job sa ese he la hiana petule kya ese pu joma pe me la tu
To go bati. I want to try that again. What?
This says,
kya rolu de akus
Asada esi do ba. It's weird. They updated it, so now it's like, I have no idea.
Roge dena he ku job sa ese he la hiana petule kya ese pu joma pe me la tu kya ese supliye bo.
so they do not want to be under God's control. They want to get rid of that. They do not want to be under his control.
Mite mara hiku pusi de hena ma esi oda ma chomre to kuku to ko heda chomre ma te ne ma oloda chomre to kuku si ne ma esi na si me pia si me oda chomre to kuku to.
Let's think about that just a moment. You know, Satan has from the very beginning wanted to characterize God as being someone who does not love them, who does not want good for men.
Mena ko ne na pe me ta te me ma a le hena ko heda me te pesinge ne ma da ke lu ke hi ku chulu ke to ko ne ma ona peslu na ma asime me te me adula na ma sana be chana a si swa hi ku fusi na da chomre na ma amuli ne si to asana chomre na ma ete adedu de tu si to asana si swa me ho ko sina.
When Satan spoke to Eve in the garden, he lied. Satan lied.
Mete ne ma da pislu na da ai ibe na da mo ide ma I uno go he ma mo I uno ha ai be shilo ke na ma le ho shushi a ona te shushi ga le ho go.
Eve told Satan that God did not want them to eat of this fruit of this one tree.
Ma mete ne ma da pislu na ibe shi da ma I u a ke na ma shilo na ite chomre sho ai si go he da samo so se ko no ma si be eni to a tu be ma samo no be ini do na.
And Satan replied, God doesn't want you to eat that fruit because he knows that when you do, then your eyes will be opened and you will understand about good and evil.
Nda ma ke lu ke na ma I u a he na ko he ma he ma I u no ai shu shu ai be shu na da pi su lu na he na da smo to mo so se to mo na ma chom re shu pe na da pe ini to ai shu lu ko ma na da pi su lu na he ka kya shu lu na o me te chom re no a sin no e ne so se da to mo to me te ne ma ba ne e a ke na ma ne bi su lo li de ke pa ko me te ma ne sing na da a re na mo mer kya sin na ri kya na ma ne sing le pa.
In other words, Satan was saying, God is trying to keep you from something that is very good.
Mena da pisilu no hani ne ma si he na ma hina o da chom na si no e ne so se to mete ne ma asi do me ne hu da to ade na kya to asi meta tu ge like kle.
Satan was saying, don't go following God. Get out from under his control.
Mena da pisilu no ma asi he shlu asi isalu ma hina o da chom re ai ibe ai sho si na ma ni da pa me asana da itene si mete me gla du no go hina.
And then at the Tower of Babel, long ago in the Tower of Babel, they built the people got together and they built that tower because they did not want to be under God's control. They wanted to worship a false religion.
Mena da petuman e ma da ke da he ku fusi ya he meta shulu he plot shulu da ma ite take bebo ku no ko he da esi he be tu ma tlan te lu tia ho hi tu te me te he ne ma esi na asi de kala de esi chomre ko esi si ku chobe kala de chomre da arut pri.
Many today say that I don't want to be a Christian. I want the freedom to do what I want to do.
Kunne si be ko pe meta ke te he si na ma hina da vesi twaka kripu to mete ne ma vesi me kala de da vesi me na.
But the truth is, it's not a choice between being free and being under God's control. That is not the choice.
Muna ni ne ma u te ne me na ma su ko ha me te ne ma da pe kra kripu to ne ma be chena da ma pe twa sana chomre pe da chomre ku ve sana me te ma be ni dialog pri chomre sana pe twa ma chomre chifu ma to ko sana hu no ko ma to.
The choice today is, will a person be under God's control, or will he be under Satan's control and sin's control?
Mete ne ma te hin ma te ne na da alo unma au da ma chomre le ambe min benin da lo pri chomre te la tengo e to ne asi migla du shu da asi yu ne at ne me no ka ma ni ne na ma ku ne na ma asi ayu a khin ma au ve na chu ve ko he da chu ma au da ma chomre khu we to ne na chu de chu ma asi u da ma pislu tu khu we sana asi ni dam na te su si nai.
In the Garden of Paradise, everything was wonderful for Adam and Eve.
Me da he ku tu lo khin ma da adana u a khin ma da kre ku na ma lo pli si na ma to re lo cha ko.
But when they decided to follow Satan and disobey God, look what happened to the world.
Ni manara me mete anani uno ha esi mela crowd ma pisulu te esu sana ko heda esi ni da pada chomre to a keno ha spimetha ko heda kunne hiku a keno ma pe khabe noitino.
It brought nothing but misery on mankind.
Ni da kelu ke da kede kuno ma shu o te sikrisi lo te o more ko hemana kunne na ma me mete ani da chomre te la tango no ha ona pe khabe vere te pya pese si sana te susi lo pe ko.
Now it's nothing but aches, pains, disease, death.
Ne kunne ne ma o shu ve sana pinne she to ne pete shui o sana ite I u me salu hun glossy no ka.
Governments, nations, where people get together, they do not want to be under God's control.
Me te da kunne me bio he ku fusi da esi take te ska du si te hin ko he da esi lo me te chichu bi yue ba te pute te hun glossy ne ma esi na ma asi ni au asi twa take na kripu take to ko asana asi si order chomne to kukuto.
That's because the sinful human heart does not want to be under God's control.
me te hene ma be chema na be si plo ko hele be si plo ma shu ve te su ve ko sana be te su si plo ma be si order ma chomre ku do be si order chomre li do
Kupalu says in Romans chapter 5, he says, before we became believers, we were God's enemy.
da ite rome madumya aku no mana kupalu no ahi ko da pe thole kriputo pe ji la chomre da la ngwa kheto ne ma pe na ma shu pe he ku fu mu shu ma hu na pe si me asana pe thwa ma chomre klenga ko he pe una pe kya shi ti na chomre hu klon me.
So it's bad enough that unsaved individuals oppose God. But when they get together in cities and nations, then the opposition is even greater.
Me te ne ma sana pe ona te prende pre pe ji chomre ngo to ne ma ona pe ni da chomre ngo to ne ma ado bin na be che de pe ko he sana mana te ne me ko da ona hi ku fu si ma he plus lu no ba esi a plus lu ke tumu no ma shu shu hu da ma asime mi ta tu chomre te pi te me ne ma sana ado thula chabati no.
So, Satan uses two great forces to oppose God: false religion and governments.
Me na hada pisulu ngi na ma ami chene ne huda bishena ami utupana hi ku fusi na chomre no ko ha rele te chene ma ai swa huda ma te ku chobe asu te hina esi te jisu su te hina to pane na che te chene ma bishena ma pe tamada du kwitu si te hina ko.
This is so clear in chapter 17 because that there's a description of what this woman is doing in verse 3. Would you play verse 3?
Kunne na ma pe mera ma te ma du te de le tia ma du shinyo amapu sio pe pa me ko me te ne ma sana ai sho to ta te je pe je da pislu na si me te to ba da promote the pre na ma da po ami te ko tin.
Yeah, Revelation.
Fecha sebia che atemi chua khu akhi mo khu te phu e chu va de ke se thi kya lot ma khu de pho wa chu bi ne de pho ro wa chu mya thi pre mo de pre u nya u de temi te mya li ke sui ne de akhu temi te mya ye de ane lo si pre lo ne ura o lo plina mui ro ura o amuina a pa che shi chom re a phu ne temi te mya ye de ne aku klo u su su de me ro ano u cho phya shi cho.
What Johann saw was this harlot woman sitting upon the beast.
Ma hira pache ishe no ba da ai shell sana hi mun me no okay ma kunne pe meni pe pini ho akena ma hina da promote the pre na ma a uneda ma te mitemia aku klo kugo dom oneda te mitemia kugo.
We know what the beast is. This is describing the woman sitting upon the kingdom of the beast.
Meno ha pe singi na te mitemia na ma pe singi velu arikia va ko he te na ke ba ma en ma thwa ma thake khui du khu lo pa the pre pe singi ko he mana kunne pe ni ho akena ma hina promote the pre ma a uneda ma te mitemia aku ko sana a thwa du lo po jana ma te mitemia ko.
She is riding upon the kingdom of the Antichrist, his empire.
Ite na ma kunne na ma oneda ma ite te mi te mea ku na ma one te de ma ite heku aku heku mada ma kripu mato te hina ko ma to ma one te mada ma krimato aku.
The government, the empire of the beast has been merged together with this harlot woman, false religion.
Me te na mada te mi te mea take to pone na ma promote take na ma asana promote take pe hina mada u ku chobe su te hesi no ha ku chobe ko chomre to esi ku te ku chobe kho de te hesi te putulas be ko he da me na hada te mi te mea to pone da te ku chobe su si no ha he shu lo lu he na he te thwa ke ke mu.
Imagine in your mind seeing this. It gives a description of the woman, but imagine in your mind a woman sitting upon this beast, like a horseman sitting upon a horse.
Sana ite peteni me ko heda bi hengi manus mane ma ai chopina primona ma ani u shadula po ma mi te kla tin mai chogo mana teni me ko heda primo au net heda temi temi akunu ma posa sana ma ite ke yo ne ma ti sikunu ko.
If a horseman is sitting upon a horse, who is doing the control? Who is controlling whom?
Meno ha teni me ko heda kirene u pre o ne ma ti si akunu ma asana lo job bit the pote u ju chwa na ma bite the prete ma kiye na tom ne ti si na. So it would be the woman.
Yeah, it'd be the woman. It'd be the horseman. It'd be the woman. Unless you're not a good horseman like me, and it may be the horse that's in control.
Una pe hiche do ka to pro ke ma sana kenesra unne da ti si khu ne ma mi te sra no ha ide che ti si to ne ma asana ti si na si chwa te ma chwa chwa pa ko.
Now we'll see later in the chapter pictures of this great wickedness of the woman and the beast.
In shaba no ba ne ma pe me pa ko he da promote pre na ma sana abise ma mi te klo te ano ba te hung lo si no ko sana e shopi na te mi te mi na ma promote ma ate o krete ma shopi ko.
But we want to look at right now down through history how we see the same thing over and over again.
Muna kunne na ma pe me ke kya sada ke na ke ku chulu to kunne na ko he da ona pe me tha asana athwa ti ja ko he sana ponna thwa the na ko.
We see over and over again false religion and government coming together just as the woman and the beast are together.
Me te na ma ona pe me tha ti na ma da be chena ite kwid tu be sana na esi tamada be ko he ona esi a he the mission na da ma u ju e su si de he si u ju ko si de he si na ko he sana sta salary na ma promote the pray to ma de mi na ko he esi si na he mi te lu ko.
Remember we mentioned last week that when men first got together at Babel, they said we were going to build a city, a government, and a tower for their false religion.
Meno hana pe me ke sada he ko tolu ake atwa ke na ma ba ma he ku fusi he chulu no go he mete a he plus chulu tu mu mete na ma esina asi betwa ke ma esi thake the vigu de vigo he ke na atwa vigu de vi ne ma asi te klo du si me be ko he ba na te do ma esi me sim be ma te lu ta ho du atu mete ne ma esi si le ku cho be na da chomre na ro te he si go.
And then we know that on the ruins of Babel, the city of Babylon was built.
To pesing ena mite da chomre mi pya lo mi ta pro lo ke esi te lu ta ho gu no ko he bana ke ku ne ke sin ne ma sana ite atwa the ke de vigu ase me vigu ase ko da ku ne mo il na Babylon go.
And we see the same thing, that the king of Babylon he almost shared power with the religious leaders in Babylon.
To pa pe metha po ko ha mete kunne ba asha ke na ma esi Babylon ma ite viku atwa ase ke me ha ko na mete pe metha po ko ha da esi queen of the prena to na ma ite sroku te klo du si te he na ma asana esi atwa krne selu ga asana esi mit telu asana atwa krne selu na da ke du ke thu.
The king would be very hesitant to make a major decision without consulting the religious leaders.
Mina da kui na the pray to banana ite sraku ta klo du si sa du te cinema sana te popia du akrine selo ko ha mina da kui the pray ma asime me thwa ta ju ne ma ame thwa the jo tu the pray ma to ko abe should de pa te le ma ite sraku te klo du si te hina ko sana asi she ko.
Later on in history, we remember in Egypt with their kings called pharaohs.
Topa pe toma po ko heda Egypt thake ku no ko esi khuidu athula na ma mite esi thake na dushil adu lo no ha da pe eluna da pharaoh ko he esi ma khi yo ma to asana du lo po the.
And again, we see the kings working together with the false religion there.
Topa pe me thabu po ko heda esi no ha esi khi ma tamada sin ma khokodu ba mana esi mit sana da ma te kuchobe sroku pusi the hin ko.
The king was also the religious leader of their false religion.
Mada esi Egypt thake ku na ma da esi khuidu the pray na ma da ma esi asana ma esi te kuchobe sa dulla the pray ko he asana khuidu the pray to na esi ite esi sroku te ko du na ma sinna na pray kholu ma to esi khuidu na ma athwa ke ma esi srot te sra dulla the pray.
Today, in countries that are Muslim, we see the same idea.
Bukun ne be go heda be me da ma muslo thake ku sinama asana be chana da khui to bana da kri ite esi srot te kla du sinama posa sen hu klo.
Especially in the last few years, I've heard, maybe you've heard, many people that understand about Islam, they point out, they help us to understand that there's no great difference between their religion and their government rule.
Pada u te he si ma u mema ite take to purpose ya to thematic crate hu glo sinema hu glo sina ai shope go heda esi masla take ku sinema abeshana da esi teni dada te elisa kuna bebe go he asana alo la kramite alo kuchobe mute na ma aposa sera rena da ma esi tamada arata ma ite te so siana go he asana esi lisa sana da esi te so siana ma sera rilu go.
In other words, in a Muslim country, that country will be run by what the Muslim leaders say.
Mina asana ai show asana ai swap in ma hina da asil masla thake ku sinema da allo be ni da mai te be ne ma manda esi te klo du ma tamda te klo du lut prima be ni da na prima ko.
As a matter of fact, in some Muslim countries, it is the Muslim leader who rules the country.
Ni to pura ke to ponda masla si thake ku sinema da esi khuidu oto ko heda ma athwa ke esi te khuidu lut prina ma da esi sana sro ku te klo du lut prina me ko.
In India, the major false religion is Hinduism.
Mi de ma da esi India thake ku na ma esi te ku chobe adu thulo na ma aku chobe sin na adu thulo na ma da ma esi we lo na Hindu go he.
A few days ago, I asked my older son, who lived several years in India, I asked him a question.
Dera ke si tanana na masra is shudeno ga pu ku dule prego da enma a o not too big da India thagi ku ko.
And I asked him, I'm trying to find the question where I texted him. I said, is it true that the government of India promotes Hinduism?
Mena dasra shude apu ku no go hena ama ani neve mada pe ni ho ma pe esi the India thake ku na ma the esi tamada dula te he sinema ona ai swa lopli da ma Hindu rekya ko he esi te ku chobe de Hindu na ma sana esi tamada na ma ai swa hu no klo e.
And he said yes. The government there allows the Hindu people to persecute some of the other religions.
Mena sana uma uhina ma ide esi ma แต่ก็ดูสินะมาอาเปก็มาฮินดูแต่กูจะเปก็ให้อาเปมาฮินนักเยติสิเนาะมีเด้อ ฮะ
Ada header hết cho.
อาเปมาให้อายุแล้วมันยี่มีเตะมาสนาอาสนามีเตะเนี่ยมาเด้อเอซีแต่กูจะเบซีฮินดูนะมาดูเลแกเฮมีนะฮะเด้อเอซีแต่กูจะเบด้รูซีเตะเฮเบียสนะคริปซีโอเบเบสนะมุสลิมซีโอเบเบก็ให้เด้อเอซีตำด้านะมาอาจูทุกมันมีจ้ามาฮินดูเตะเฮซีนะเด้ออามิเซอร์แกกูจะเบนะฮินดูเตะเฮตูนะเฮก็
So again, it's another example of government and the false religion there working together.
มีนะเด้อคุณเนี่ยมาไปสิ่งอยู่ปูก็ให้เด้อเอซีอินเดียคุณมาเซอร์ดีกันนะเด้อมาไปเฮมาไปเชนะเด้อเอซีตำด้าเตะเฮทุกเนี่ยเด้อเอซีตำด้ากูเตะเฮซีทุกเนี่ยเด้อเอซีเตะกูจะเบนะมาแต่มีจิลุก็
I could stop right here if you have some questions.
นี่กินเอกอิเตซิซิเลชุดเตจิโอเนี่ยมาสระโอโกเก็บนี่ไหมเหรอ
Any questions?
ซิเลชุดเตจิโอ
What we've covered so far?
ไปเชนะเด้อมาไปเตะสวาโทนเบบี
Okay, let me go a little farther then. In the old Roman Empire, 2,000, a couple thousand years ago.
เด้อเป็นแม่แกแค่เสนมาโรเมทเกกูกุนเนมาตัวก็เฮเด้อแค่อัวนาเตเซเลก็
The rulers were called emperors.
นี่เด้ออันกุนเนมาเอานาตรีทัวก็เฮเด้อเอาเด้อแค่นมาบ่เอซีควิดดูแค่นมาเอลูนาเด้อเอ็มเปอร์มิเตเฮนมาเอซีทักกินมาดูนี่ฮะก็
And they had their own false religion in the Roman Empire.
บ่เด้อเอซีโรเมทเกกูนมาเอซีเตกุจเบเด้อไปจำเนี่ยมาตัวก็เอซีเตกุจเบโคกดินาอุกดิดูก็
The chief priest, the head priest of that false religion,
ทุบาร์เอซีแต่กุจเบอาซื้อเตเหมาแต่กุจเบโคเตเหนมาเอซีมาแต่ก็ละดูเลเอซีมาแต่กุจเบแต่ก็ละดูเลเฟรนมา
it was the emperor.
อันนี้เอ็นมาเด้อเอซีควิดดูเลเฟรนก็
So once again, Satan puts together the government and the false religion to oppose God.
มีนะมาเด้อคุณเนี่ยนะไปสิ่งอยู่ปัวเฮยเด้อไปพิสูจน์อมิตมีนะมาซะนะอมิจิมาเด้อมาแต่กุจเบเตเฮกุจเบอะโคเตเฮซีทุบเนี่ยเด้อมาเอซีตามดานะมามิตมีจิลุมิเตเนี่ยมาเอซีมิตมีจิลุเนี่ยมาเอซีมิตาตึกไปเด้อจำเรติพิตมีซีมามิเจ็ดแล้วก็มีนะก็
I'm going to stop right there. Next week we will pick this up, and we will be going over some information that very few people know about.
มีนะคุณเนี่ยนะเปียกโกแกก็ให้ไปเตะสวานมันนะฉันโนตปานเนี่ยมาสไลด์ซอปไปปาไปชนะอันสนะไปคริปซีนะมาไปสิ่งนี้นอตาโต
And our discussion will carry us to some places that will be quite shocking.
มีเตเนี่ยมาเด้อไปสวาโทฉันโนตปานเนี่ยมามีเตเนี่ยมาไอโชไปปับตัวปาเตเฮฮูเดอมาไปอันสนะไปแค่จะปะกี